Now, when you speak of new calculation, what do you mean by that? You can add any data analytics expression out here, which means out here it's default, it is sum, right? You click on this. You can make the changes to that. Now, the measure here is sum. If you want, you can make the change over here. You can take the median values, you can take average values, median value. You can also take the count. Distinct count can also be taken. So what happens when you change the measure over here? When you change the measures over here, either through column panes or either through row panes, or for that matter, even with filters or marks or pages, through filters, marks, or pages, those changes will be reflected over here on the canvas, on the data visualization canvas that we have here. So out here we are seeing what is it that we are seeing here? These are the list of countries and their hydroelectric power fuel consumption. Now what I'm doing here is I'm clicking on, you can see there is a drop down list here also. Let's click on this. So what are we seeing here? Data source order, alphabetic order. Is it fielded? What is it? What's in the field that you have selected? Hydroelectricity or the nested values, hydroelectricity. So you can select anything out here as well. If I were to click on the sheet itself or here on the list, country list, you can choose to decide which country you want to keep and which country you want to exclude. You can also create a set and you can also view its data set. So if I click on view data, out here I can see, so what is the data for Angola? It's 86.69 megawatts. When I click on full data, for the full data is going to show me only this much. Why? Because we have taken only hydroelectricity. In the summary also it is showing us only for hydroelectricity. And then of course, you can download this data also. When you click on download here, it will ask you where do you want to show, where do you want to save it. You download the data in the particular location. Noticeably, you can see it is in the CSV file format. So that is the sheet 1 summary. So what is it that we are trying to download? We are downloading the summary. If you select full data, that can also be downloaded over here. And they have the limitations for 10,000 rows. Okay, if you want, we can also increase the count and the limitations. These are the settings pertaining to this particular view. So let's click on the settings, and it is asking us to show us the aliases as well. So coming back, this is how your hydroelectric, some of the hydroelectric fuel, hydroelectricity is visible over here. This is how it is stacked up here in the column pane. Let us take another fuel source as well. That was hydroelectric, and I'm taking nuclear electricity here. Let's take nuclear electricity. So what I was seeing here is this list is on this particular graph that I'm seeing here is for hydroelectricity, and this is for nuclear. So let me drag it down over here. Now, when we see, now this is for the entire world that we are seeing here, right? So if I remove this particular field, then we'll be, because this is for the entire world. So if we remove that field, then we would be able to use and find a better view into the fuel source consumption of all the different countries. But for now, we are not going to do that. The objective for us is to understand how to use the different panes as we have discussed here. Meanwhile, if I come on the data source, we can also see, let me drag this out here. We can see that there are 16 fields with 122 rows. Okay, if you want, you can hide this. If you want, you can unhide it. Okay, and out here we are seeing what we are seeing 100 rows here. It is showing us only 100 rows. Why is that? Because that is the setting that we have here. If you want, we can change the rows here to 1,000 rows maybe, and I click enter. So now you can see here it is showing us what 166. We put in 1,000 rows, but it is showing us 166 rows. Why is that? Because that is the maximum count of rows we have. And if I click on this button here, as you can see, that's for settings. You can decide the sort fields also. Now, this is the data source order. Okay, if you want, we can also have it A to Z ascending, Z to A descending, A to Z ascending per table, Z to A descending per table. So these are the different sort options that are available over here. And of course, that pertains to the data set that we have. if you want to add any filters, suppose if I were to, okay, let's click on this drop down here. Yeah, okay, it will bring you down the entire row the data set will come down here. And if I click add filters, so it is going to ask you what type of filters do you want to add. So let's click add. Let's see. I want to add a filter for only GDP, and I click OK. That is a range of values that they provided us from least to the most to the special. So let us select at the range of values. We are selecting the default values, and I click OK. Okay. Right. So what am I seeing here? I'm seeing here these values as per the GDP filter. So when I'm using the GDP as a filter, I'm able to see this data that is being shown over here. You can see that in case of when we filter it for the GDP, the values for Afghanistan, Albania, Algeria, like, their consumption values are not showing up. And probably that's also more so because they do not have any biofuel or coal electricity production. So out here, we applied the filter for GDP, and based on the GDP, we are able to see the different values that we are seeing here. Now, if I were to come back here on the sheet 1, again, we are not seeing any change over here, but out here in the data source, we did see the change. If I want to get rid of the filter, I'll select on edit. I click edit, I click on GDP here, and I select remove it. Okay. So you can see here that this data set is now entirely changed. So this is how you work with the data set over here for in data sources. And this is how you work on sorting the values in the data source. If I were to click here on the energy data CSV, how will it show up? Yeah, this is how it is showing us up. Okay. These are what? They were logical tables. If I click on relationships, we don't have any relationships really. And why is that? Because there is only one single sheet that we've used here. If I click on this, and if I ask for text file properties or convert to union, what will you do? What will you convert it to union with? But again, we're not gone that far yet. So for us, for now, this is the overall perspective. So like I said, we can, let us save the file first. Today we are in day 3. So what is it that we're looking for? Fuel source consumption analysis. It's fuel source consumption analysis. So this is what we are having here. So fine, let us now move to the marks here, marks bin. The overall concept that underlines or that highlights the rows and the column panes is much the same, but okay, still let us take an extra stretch here on columns. So I click on columns, and it gave us the options for new calculation, clear shelf, select all. Okay, and again the same holds true for rows also. Now if I were to go individually on each of these measures in the columns or the row panes, then their functionalities will change, or their options and features will change. So let's select here on the sum of the hydroelectricity. So these are the options that it is showing us. Out it is showing us mark type bar. If you want, we can change it to circle also. We can change it to line. We can change it to polygon. Let's click polygon. Let's see what comes up. Yeah, now we can see here, this is how this particular mark appears. So when I make any changes to mark here, the same changes in the mark here are also reflected over here in the marks. So again, I'm selecting on mark type as the default setting is what? R. So individual measure specific changes can also be executed in the column panes and the row panes. And of course, that is quite evident over here. That's how we demonstrate the same as well. Let's do the same, attempt the same on row labels. So I click on row labels and I'm adding here what? Measure, no. Attribute, dimension. It's a dimension, of course. And I wish to sort it. So let's click on sort it. So it is asking us what kind of, which way you want to sort it. You want to sort it as a data source order, alphabetical, field, manual, and nested. So let's select manual for once. So when I say manual, what do I want here? I want United States. I'm taking United States over here, and then it is followed by what? Let's take Saudi Arabia. Let's take Russia as well. And let's also take China, because they have the higher fuel consumption as well. Followed by India, of course. Okay, so I have sorted these row labels, and that's it. So this is how we can sort the row labels. You can also clear the sort, but let's go on the sort again. So we have selected the manual ones, and now we are clearing all of them. So cleared all the sort values, and I'm clicking close, closing that window. If you come back here, you can read show filter, show highlighter. You can also sort it again. Let's click on sort again. We can also have it as an alphabetical sort. So it is alphabetically sorted anyway. So because that is how the original data source order was. This is how it appears and looks like. If I wish to format it, let's click on format. So the pane, the header can be formatted. The pane can also get formatted. The font is what Tableau book types with the font size of 9. If I wish to change it, making it Padana 12. So that is how it will change. And alignment is what? Chromatic. So that is how the pane values will change, or the pane's fonts will change. And if you click on header, we have it over here as what? But so you can see the changes that are being executed over here on the header. And the font size is what? 9. I'll make it 12. So these values, the value of the font size has increased. The font size has increased. So this is how you can format the row labels or the column labels also, for that matter. If I were to select hydroelectric, then I select mark type, that is bar. Okay, if I wish to format it, let's click format. So out here on the format, what do we see? That's the axis formatting it is asking us for. So this axis it wants to format. If you want to make any changes on the pane, they will be reflected over here in default totals, grand totals, special values, and things like that. So this is how you will be able to format the panes also, the typically row and column panes. That apart, if you want to convert the dimensions and measures to dynamic dimensions, you want to change from continuous to discrete or discrete to continuous, then that is also possible. This is in the continuous format, right? Nuclear electric is in continuous form. If I select discrete, if I come here and I select on discrete, so it will change over here. This value will change. Okay, just keep a note of that. So when we convert it to discrete value, it will appear as a dimension here.